Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to this press conference following today's ECOFIN meeting, the first ECOFIN of the Danish presidency. On stage with me is Danish Minister for Economic Affairs, Stephanie Lose, and Commissioner for Economy and Productivity, and Commissioner for Implementation and Simplification, Dombrovskis. As some of you know, right after this briefing, there will be a ceremony marking Bulgaria's adoption of the euro. This will be held in the Europa Building press room right after this press conference. But this also means that we have limited time. I will first give the floor to the Minister and then the Commissioner, and then we open up for questions afterwards. Minister.
Thank you very much, and welcome everyone. I'm glad to say that I think we had a good and productive first ECOFIN under the Danish presidency. Europe faces significant challenges concerning our economy and our security in a changing world. Growth and productivity is too weak, and we have a war in Europe and a security threat to all of us. The Danish presidency's two priorities are therefore Europe's competitiveness and security. My ambition for today was to hit the ground running and make progress and concrete decisions already at our first meeting. First of all, we made a number of concrete decisions on economic governance, including greater flexibility in the fiscal rules regarding defense expenditure for many member states that have applied for flexibility, the so-called National Escape Clause for 15 member states. The flexibility will enable member states to transition to a higher level of defense spending within a sustainable framework. We also adopted recommendations on structural reforms in member states. These reforms are just as important to our economy and competitiveness as the EU-level measures. Second, we had a productive discussion related to the European Saving and Investment Union that aims to build efficient and integrated capital markets in Europe. This is essential to mobilize private investments in the EU. The discussion focused on the new proposal on securitization that will help ensure funding for the European economy while supporting financial stability. There is a broad agreement in the Council to make progress on this proposal and agree as soon as possible this year. Third, we make progress on the digital euro that will provide a simple, secure and low-cost digital means of payment in Europe. Fourth, we've also discussed Ukraine's economy in view of the country's fight for freedom against Russia. It is a top priority to ensure continued support for Ukraine and be ready if and when Ukraine needs more financing. Lastly, on a more positive note, let me also congratulate our Bulgarian friends on their entry into the euro. That was also a decision today. A big day for Bulgaria and Europe. So all in all, I'm happy with our progress and results today. I'm looking very much forward to welcoming my colleagues in Copenhagen for the informal ECOFIN in September. Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Minister. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just start by saying that I look forward to work with Minister Losa and Danish presidency on our joint priorities over the next 6 months. Danish presidency today presented its ECOFIN working program, and we welcome the strong focus on securing Europe's defense capabilities, defense industry, strengthening security and strengthening competitiveness, as well as moving forward with our simplification agenda. Allow me to begin with historic news for Bulgaria. ECOFIN has today approved Bulgaria becoming the 21st member of the euro area, so this completes the legislative process. We'll have a dedicated ceremony after this press conference, so let me just mention a few brief points. Joining the euro area is much more than just about replacing a leu with the euro. It is about building a brighter and more prosperous future for Bulgaria and its citizens at the heart of Europe. The euro will bring new opportunities, investments, jobs and growth. This has been experienced in people in other euro area member states, and it's going to be the case in Bulgaria. Then today we discussed the economic situation, and while EU economy is showing resilience, the outlook is clouded by policy uncertainty, including around US tariffs. Our understanding is that the US extended its deadline for imposition of tariffs to 1st of August. Nonetheless, EU and US negotiations continue at political and technical level to push for agreement in principle before that. Moving to other items in today's agenda. The ECOFIN has today adopted a decision establishing the existence of excessive deficit in Austria and a recommendation for it to correct the excessive deficit by 2028. With regard to Romania, Minister Nazare provided an update on significant fiscal consolidation measures recently adopted by the Romanian government. This is an important and positive step towards complying with a new excessive deficit procedure recommendation, provided that all measures are fully and swiftly legislated and implemented. We will monitor progress closely and come forward with our assessment in autumn. Finally, I welcome the ECOFIN's endorsement of country-specific recommendations. These provide member states with comprehensive and coherent set of policy actions to maintain macroeconomic stability, enhance Europe's competitiveness, and strengthen our security. We also held our regular exchange on developments related to Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. As regards financing, we are on track. Approximately 17 billion euros have now been disbursed to Ukraine under the G7 Era Loan Initiative, with the latest contribution worth 1.4 billion euros coming from Canada. We expect the EU's next 1 billion euro payment will take place this week, bringing the total value of EU disbursements under ERA initiative to 8 billion euros. The next payment under the Ukraine facility is scheduled for mid-August. I will participate in the Ukraine Recovery Conference this week to discuss Ukraine's future financing and defense needs, given that President Putin visibly has no intention to stop this war of aggression. Our message is clear. Ukraine is not only defending itself, but all of Europe, as Russia is a major security threat for all EU countries. Last night we held an informal discussion on defense spending for Europe and Ukraine. Specifically, we discussed how to increase defense investments in a context of NATO 5% of GDP target and our instruments for this, including fiscal flexibility and safe instrument. We are all aware of the importance and urgency of strengthening Europe's defense capabilities to provide credible deterrence to the Russian aggressor. Today's ECOFIN adopted Commission's proposal for the national escape clauses for 15 member states to facilitate rapid increase in defense spending. Our challenge now is to invest smarter, together, and for maximum impact. Finally, the Commission provided an update on RRF implementation. So far, we have disbursed 317 billion euros to member states. Total disbursements this year have now reached 11 billion euros, and we are in process of assessing 18 payment requests amounting to nearly 72 billion euros. I also welcome today's endorsement of targeted amendments to the recovery and resilience plans of Austria, Belgium, Czechia, Denmark, Germany, and Ireland. As a reminder, the legal deadline provides that all milestones and targets must be met by the end of August 2026. We thus reminded ministers of the Commission's June communication, which provides clarity on how member states can take the most out of the time it has been left. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Commissioner. Now let's open up the room for questions. Please start by stating your name and media. And as said before, we have limited time, so try to keep it to one question per person. Thank you. We'll start with Thomas.
Thanks. Thomas Mellon-Nilsson at Euractiv. I have a quick question for the Commissioner. So you said that the goal is to reach a framework agreement with the US before August 1st. Is it still the intention of the Commission to reach a deal before July 9th, so tomorrow as well? Because the Commission said yesterday that their goal was to reach an agreement by July 9th. So has the deadline now shifted from July 9th to before August 1st? Thanks.
In this case, well, first and foremost, what we want to reach is a negotiated solution with the United States and to avoid further escalation of the trade tensions. So that's the exact goal, and indeed we had been working with this 10th of July deadline in mind, but as I outlined, as it seems US have now postponed in a sense this deadline to 1st of August, so that gives us a bit more time, but from our side we remain concentrated. There had been intensive negotiations last week for the agreement in principle, and progress has been made towards this. And we are continuing both political and technical negotiations on substance. And in a sense, the faster we can reach the agreement, the better, because that would remove uncertainty surrounding these tariffs questions. And indeed, we see that it is weighing on the economy and also on investment decisions of the companies.
Any other questions? Yes, in the blue.
Hello, Valeria Pashko, public broadcaster of Ukraine. So you mentioned that there was a discussion at the dinner about fundings for Ukraine in 2026. So how do you think, will the EU cover the budget deficit for Ukraine, or this deficit can be up to $19 billion in 2026, since there are no signs of ceasefire and the situation could be deteriorated in upcoming month and or even weeks? Thanks.
Well, at the moment, we don't know, we do not have consolidated numbers on when Ukraine specifically will run out of financing and what the amount will be, just to say that we didn't discuss specific numbers or specific timing. But there should be no doubt that Europe has a great responsibility here, and therefore it's also the clear aim of the Danish presidency to make progress in finding solutions to the financing needs that Ukraine will have in 2026, and that Europe should take upon ourselves the responsibility to support Ukraine moving forward from here. There shouldn't be any doubt on our unwavering support.
Vitaly?
Thank you, Vitaly Sizov, UATV. To follow up the questions, do you consider the Russian assets as a possible source to cover this deficit, maybe not through the confiscation, but through another scheme? Thank you.
Well, I think it's a well-known fact that there are different opinions on the matter of the immobilized Russian assets. In my opinion, it's important that before we reach the decision on how to support Ukraine and how we ensure that the financing needs for Ukraine are in fact being met, that no options are pulled off the table. So in my opinion, all options should be examined thoroughly so that there is a possibility for the member states to find the best solution for supporting Ukraine.
Maybe to add a couple of points here. First of all, it has been made very clear from the EU side a number of times that we stand ready to provide all necessary support for Ukraine for as long as it's needed, and we stick with this commitment, and that's why we are now indeed assessing and working on different options how to provide this financing for the next year. Obviously, we will need to do it also in cooperation with other international donors, and from that point of view, also the IMF in its financing gap assessment will play an important role. And as you know, the IMF has decided to merge the next two program reviews into one program review by the end of the year, which will provide us with this. And we are assessing what options we have on table through the EU budget, and also through the possibilities of using the proceeds from Russian sovereign assets. We are using this approach as regards G7 era loans initiative, and we are also assessing possibilities to further leverage this approach. In any case, this work is ongoing. It's also worth noting that the funding profile which we are providing to Ukraine this year is backloaded. So we are scheduling 6 billion euros payment for the December of this year, in a sense to allow for covering also already financing needs of early next year, because that's when Ukraine typically is experiencing certain funding gap.
Angela?
Angela Scugins from TVP World. Speaking of Russia's aggression against Ukraine, the French Foreign Minister stated this morning that the EU is potentially coordinating with the US senators, regarding another round of sanctions against Russia led by Paris. A question for the Commissioner Dombrovskis: is this true? And if so, what sectors will you be targeting? What is the timeline for delivery? And if you can share any other details. And for the Minister, is this transatlantic collaboration on sanctions something that Denmark would like to pursue against Russia? Thank you.
It must be said that we had been cooperating with US on sanctions already since the very beginning of Russia's aggression in Ukraine, and cooperating not only with US but also with other G7 partners and other like-minded partners, because indeed it's important to build as broad coalition as possible with those sanctions to improve also the sanction efficiency. And obviously we continue this engagement in those discussions with US. Well, right now, I would say the most imminent question for the EU is adoption of the 18th sanctions package. It has been proposed by the European Commission already a while ago. We also touched upon this question in today's ECOFIN, and we urge member states to finalize the discussions and to reach urgently a political agreement on this 18th sanctions package.
And as the Commissioner already said, then there's already been a collaboration with the United States on sanctions also previously. And I can say from a Danish point of view, we are interested in any kind of sanctions that will make life tough for Russia, be it alone in the European Union, be it together with partners.
Any more questions from the room? Doesn't seem like it. I think then we will wrap up this first press conference, and I want to remind you that there will be a ceremony celebrating Bulgaria's adoption of the euro in the Europa Building press room following this. Thank you.